There are three reasons why we focus on young workers and young worker health and safety. One is there's a heightened sense of tragedy when it comes to young workers. If you consider a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old who's seriously injured, who dies at work, you can imagine the rest of their life, the children that they would not have had. There is a heightened sense of tragedy around that young worker's death. The second is more of a mathematical look, if you like. Young male workers have a much higher risk. In fact, it's about 40% higher than any other worker. The third one is that we have an opportunity for a long-term societal change. When it comes to young workers, we know that we have an ever-changing population. And if we can start with children, youth in their early teens, we know that these are going to be the employers and supervisors of our future. If we look at things like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or recycling or seatbelt programs, we know that it's taken a long time for these changes to happen, but we know that they have been effective if we started working with youth early. Right now in British Columbia, I'm happy to say that we are at an all-time low for young worker injuries. In 2009, we had the lowest number of injuries that we've had in years, as well as the lowest injury rate for young workers. However, from my perspective, that means that we need to continue paying attention to this. If we stop paying attention, we run the risk of becoming complacent. And we know that a long-term focus has a positive effect on young worker injuries. A young worker in British Columbia is anybody under 25. We also consider new workers, and these are workers who may be new to a work site or new to the hazards if they have returned to a work site where conditions have changed. We tend to think of workers as well as people who are full-time at work, but we know that the majority of young workers are actually in part-time work, and we need to consider those because they have the same rights and the same responsibilities, the same rights to a safe workplace, whether they're working part-time, after school, weekends, or on a full-time basis. So young males face the greatest risk on the work site, and the question's often posed, why is it young males? There's a lot of answers towards that. First, we tend to look at the personal factors of young males, such as what we assume may be a reluctance to ask questions or a sense of invincibility. Recent research has actually shown, however, that it's less the personal factors than it is the workplace or the job characteristics. So young males, for example, tend to get the heavy labor jobs, or they tend to work in industries such as construction, where we know that they're exposed to higher risks, higher hazards, and more hazardous equipment.